the White House Correspondents' Dinner was interrupted by a shooting, and the line of succession, including President Trump and J.D. Vance, were promptly evacuated out of the building, and the shooter was taken down and taken into custody, and then he was questioned. His manifesto was released, and also people were mocking Melania Trump and Erica Kirk. Well, why are people being stupid? Well, because they're absolute morons, and here's why. The mainstream media pushes the same exact reasons the manifesto says of why the shooting occurred. The manifesto of the shooter said he thought Trump was a traitor and other things that I can't say on YouTube, but the mainstream media does accuse Trump of being. And this is the reason why the shooter did what he did. Now, thankfully, no one was injured. And I mean, there's only one Secret Service agent who was shot in a vest, and he is expected to be okay, but no one else was hurt. And President Trump the next day had a 60 minutes interview. The interviewer asked Trump or read Trump the manifesto and the reasons of the shooter doing what he did, with accusing Trump of being certain things. And Trump responded saying, well, he's not any of these things. Obviously, he's not, because it's been proven in the court of law that President Trump is not any of the things that the shooter accused him of. Literally proven in the court of law. And the interviewer said, oh, you think he's talking about you, Mr. President? The condescension, the being a smartass in front of the president like that, in insinuating something and also misleading people in that way is absolutely disgusting, especially after an event like that. These mainstream media people are complicit in whatever happened because they tell all of these lies without any of the proof, and they don't care at all whatever for the truth. By the way, these mainstream media people, they say, oh, they hate capitalism, they hate the uber rich because they're immoral and they take advantage of people. Well, hello, look in the mirror. What are you doing? You tell lies, you mislead people, you put fake headlines, fake news. Like, for example, BBC put a fake video of Trump saying something. That's one of the things, right? They do all of these things. Why? To gain money, to gain fame, to gain views. Ultimately, to gain money. And they, right beside those stories, they say capitalism and uber rich people need to be taxed because they shouldn't be that rich. All the while, the people posting those things are what they say they hate. It's a whole system of hypocrisy and lies that people are falling for unnecessarily. The shooter had a background that could have gotten him pretty good jobs at NASA. At in fact, he was an intern at NASA. He could have gotten very good jobs at a lot of companies, and be very successful. But the mainstream media told so much lies that they convinced him to do something. It's a sad thing. This guy could have had a good life, but he threw it away. Now he's going to spend the rest of his life in jail. Why? For no reason. Because the mainstream media tells lies. Just like what that 60 Minutes interviewer said. Trying to be smartass and saying, oh, you think he's talking about you, Mr. President? Yeah, because the manifesto also said the targets were Trump administration officials from highest to lowest ranking. That's what the manifesto said. And it's insane. It's insane. And people, like, for example, Barack Obama said that they don't. It's the same thing. The politicians, the mainstream media, they're almost one and the same. They influence each other, right? President Barack Obama said, while he does not know the intentions and the motivations of the shooter, he claims that political violence has no place in a democracy. Well, he's right that political violence has no place in a democracy, and it's always wrong. It does not matter who it is. It does not matter if it's President Trump, Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, Barack Obama. Does not matter who it is. It's not okay. Period. But the first thing he said, where he said they don't know the motivations. Well, this is after the manifesto was posted, and he says they don't know the motivations. Really? Really? the motivations are there. Clearly, the manifesto clearly stated the reasons why he did it, and Barack Obama says he does not know. No one knows actually. What? It's almost like he's almost like trying to cover for him. Like what is that nonsense? Say it what it is. And also, he says he does not know the motivations, and yet he says political violence is not the answer. Yeah, political violence is not the answer. Neither is lying. Right? What do you mean you don't know the motivations? You say you don't know the motivations, and yet you say it's political violence? Because you know it was politically motivated by the mainstream media. That's what it is. It's about politics is never the serious. It's never should be this serious to the point where someone should do this, or someone does this. No one should do this. Politics is never. It's never this serious. It should never be this serious. And really, it will not. It will never be serious. But the mainstream media portrays it to be more than what it is, which is part of the lying and the hypocrisy system that goes on. That's why. And it's terrible. There's no logical reason. There's no logical reason for it. Joe Biden did a lot of bad things, right? Joe Biden did a lot of bad things. But you don't see anyone going after him. Why? Because the right knows it's not okay to do anything like that. So it's exactly what the 60 Minutes interviewer said and what Barack Obama said. Those are the reasons why these things are happening. They're hypocrites. Today they're saying, "Oh, it's never the answer," and then a week later they're continuing the same thing that what the manifesto says. What is that nonsense? What is it's a very simple concept. Violence is never the answer. Know what is right from wrong. Debate, talk instead of violence. Be intelligent. These are basic principles to stand by. And it seems like the mainstream media, the politicians, none of them want to do that. None of them. And then Erica Kirk, what people were doing about Erica Kirk was Erica Kirk. Unfortunately, she was there when the shooting happened, and then there's a video of her, walking out and, crying and saying she just wanted to go home. Rightfully so. Especially if anyone there was justified to react that way, I mean, it would be her, but anyone there would be justified to act that way with, obviously a shooting. But out of everyone, people are going off on Erica Kirk for doing that and mocking her. And not just people on the left, it's people on the so-called right. Which, personally, I don't think these people are on the right. They're as good as leftists. Personally, they should change their party affiliation to Democrat. Because that's what they are. Because what is the Democrat base? The Democrat base is basically hating Trump. They don't have a base. And these people are going here and hating Trump and mocking widows. Yeah, they're as good as Democrats. And the people who are I don't see. Look, I would say the names, but I don't really need to. I'm not going to list every single one of these people. You know the names. You know the names who are mocking Erica Kirk. Some new ones might be there. So why don't you people go on X, just look up people mocking her, and you will see the people mocking her, and you will see how idiotic and morally reprehensible and morally deplenished these people are. And these people claim to be Christians. There's people who claim to be lifelong Christians and strong Christians, and yet they do this to Erica. Really? Really? And by the way, these people didn't even say anything about Trump or the situation. They did the whole thing, out of everything that happened in the White House Correspondents' Center, what they decided to do, the only thing they decided to comment on was Erica Kirk. That's a different that's a different level of idiotic. I don't think Jesus would mock Erica Kirk. I really do not think so. I mean it. I mean, you can look at the Bible. I don't think he mocked any widow. I don't think that's something he did. Um, I don't think he would do any of that. Right. I also don't think he would go off of evidence lacking conspiracy theories being pushed by people who are jealous and then mock a widow because of that, based on those. I don't think Jesus would do that. You can look at the Bible, you look for yourself. Obviously, I say this, if anyone tells you something, look it up. Research it for a day. Every single sentence someone says to you about politics, look it up, research it for a day, and then make a decision. So go look at the Bible, see if Jesus did any of that. I don't think he did. I don't think he would. I don't think he would like anyone doing that either. Especially off of baseless conspiracy theories with no evidence. It's baffling. It really is. Where has the civility gone? Where has the civility gone? Genuine question. Where has the common sense gone? Where's the judgment and principles that say, hey, let's wait on some evidence. Let's go off of the evidence we have right now. Let's not look at baseless conspiracy theories and be like, okay, let's just believe that instead of the actual evidence at hand. Where has those principles gone? Because clearly people are not following those, and it needs to come back. That's what's wrong with the culture. It's that people have gone insane. They take things so seriously that they think it's okay to do things like this. It's not. Never. And anyone who calls himself a Christian or says they're morally higher than anyone else and holier than thou and higher than thou, if they claim to be any of that and do these things, they take a look in the mirror. Take a look in the mirror and just think to yourself, and no, you're not. It's common sense, it's basic principle. I don't know. Is this kindergarten or what? I know Congress has some similarities to kindergarten and preschool, acting like little children, but also the mainstream media, the culture, the influencers, all of these people are acting like kindergarten children. After hearing rumors, they spread. There's no evidence. They hear a rumor and then they go with that rumor, and then they start bullying someone who really is innocent and hasn't done anything because a rumor was spread about someone. I mean, it's just. I mean, what is it? It's so childish. It's immature, and it's just wrong. I mean, what is this? And then Jimmy Kimmel. What did Jimmy Kimmel do? Well, Jimmy Kimmel, he a few days prior, he did a mock White House Correspondents' Dinner. Like a middle school, like a middle schooler would do. Doing a mock presidential election. Acting like a child, which I'm kind of right for that. Which I am. Everyone is acting like children here, like kindergartners. So Jimmy Kimmel did a mock White House Correspondents' dinner, and in that he put a video pretending that Melania Trump and Barron Trump and other people were in his audience while he was pretending to host the White House Correspondents' dinner. And he said that Melania had a glow like an expecting widow. What? Again, we see this only from the left. We see it from the left. All of these things. Why? Because the media feeds it to them. Jimmy Kimmel is part of the mainstream media, and he believes whatever he puts out because people feed it back to him. And really, TDS is really something that's real. You know, it's kind of started as a joke, TDS, but really there's something going on. It needs to be studied by psychological associations. It really needs to be studied. Because who in the right mind would make a joke like that? No, it doesn't matter who it is. Forget that it's Trump. Forget about the who would say something like that. And just because it's Trump does not mean it's somehow okay. It's never okay for anyone. Especially when it's based on lies about someone that you do these things on. It's never okay. And somehow ABC is keeping Jimmy Kimmel there, not fired. He should have been fired months ago, years ago, really. But he's not. These things should not be aired on television. And that's not a critic of free speech. That's a critic of stupidity. You know, you wouldn't. There's a reason. You know, for example, foreign terroristic threats are not aired on television by foreign enemies because that would be against national security. The same reason why lies and really morally reprehensible and disgusting and really criminal-like statements should not be made on television, well, because that's wrong. You know, this is not kindergarten. We don't need to keep, explaining things, right? It's a common sense principle that, okay, making fun of someone for saying that she's an expecting widow is okay. That's not okay. That's not. And politics is never that serious where you would make a joke like that, where you think it would okay to make a joke like that. It's never that serious. But again, these people make it to be serious because they want money. Jimmy Kimmel says tax the rich. He himself is rich. If he gets taxed by the same policies that he's pushing, he will be homeless. Because also, on top of that, his ratings are disgustingly low. He will be homeless if any of the policies he is pushing get passed because he will be broke. He is a hypocrite. Anyone who listens to that guy as somehow a fact, if you listen to any comedian for political advice, I mean, really, come on. But if you're listening to Jimmy Kimmel for political advice with the hypocrisy that he portrays, that's really something. And that proves my point, and everyone else's point who says the same thing, which is that the mainstream media is a bunch of lying hypocrites who should not be aired on television because what they say incites things like what happened at the White House Correspondents' dinner. Right? That BBC, for example, what I'm saying, what the BBC did for putting a fake video on television, that shouldn't have been aired. Because obviously that's fake, it's misleading, and that's portrayed a lot of lies. Another example of what I'm saying. Jimmy Kimmel, that's making disturbing and disgusting jokes, not supposed to be a joke, but it's not. Statements like that on television should not be allowed. Period. That's not a good thing. And you should be fired for it. I'm not saying the government. I'm saying the companies who are like ABC. They should fire these people. And the government should tell the companies to fire these people. Now, obviously, there's FCC laws that actually were okay. If something else that's really bad that happens against the law, the government will take it. But things like these, there needs to be push from everyone on these companies to fire these people. They should not be allowed on television by these companies. It's a simple principle. It's not complicated whatsoever. And I have a book coming out on this exact topic. Why this is happening? Because of the mainstream media. Because of people like them telling lies, being hypocrites. The entire thing. If you take any information with more than a grain of salt from any of these people, you really need to rethink where you're getting your information from, because the mainstream media with it's a whole system of hypocrisy and lies. Nothing comes out of there you should take without more than a grain of salt. Every single and I'll say this, every single sentence that you hear from someone, research it for a day, each sentence, to get a good understanding. Don't just don't just look at MS Now and MSNBC and CNN for a whole day. No, you look at every single thing. Use all the AIs. Use all the news sites. Use every resource. Use every video, from every side, and make up your decision. Because this should not be happening. It should never be this serious. It's never this serious. It isn't this serious. Even now, after this, it's not. Politics is never this serious. People make it out to be that way. What this is a crime. Not. Politics is never this serious. And it will never, and it should never be this serious, to where someone thinks they're going to do that. That's not never okay.